Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amber, and today I'm going to be starting something a little bit different. Um, so I used to do reading vlogs, and I really liked them, and I've been really wanting to do that lately instead of what I've been doing. And I've been going back and forth about how to work that out. Because I don't have a way of putting my clips together in any shape or form. I know that with your phones you can probably find something, but I don't want to pay anything for it at the moment, and it's not worth the money for me right now. But I realized I could do something kind of like what you would do on Instagram, but not really, because I can go as long as I want to, as much as I want to, each time I go. So I'm gonna do like vloggy style, and it's not gonna be like every day or anything. I'm just gonna do it when I feel like I have something worth talking about or to update you on or anything like that. And so it's gonna be like where I just talk about what I'm reading, what's going on, things like that. And then at the end of each month, I will wrap up all the books. So I I won't do any like actual reviews of books through these clips videos, but you'll get to like see me as I'm reading. So hopefully this will work out the way I want it to, at least for now, until I'm able to like get something better for this worked out. So I thought first I would do a little haul where I'm just gonna share with you all the books. Sorry, didn't have this fully prepared. Share with you all the books that I've gotten from the library at the moment. So get an idea of what I'm going to be reading from the library at least. But this month has been kind of like, it had like a real high at the beginning of the month, and then the next week was like okay, but it messed up everything else for the rest of the month, I feel like. So I read technically not 5 books, but since I finished what I was supposed to for that week, I'm kind of like counting it with an asterisk as 5. Um, I read 5 books, and then the next week I had jury duty, and sadly I was chosen, but not really, because I was just like the what do you call it, the alternate. And it was a stressful case. I really did not want to be part of this specific case. And I'm like, this just totally ruined my whole New Year's, because it was like they didn't do the choosing before Christmas and everything, and I wish they kind of did, because it would have been just easier to like know, okay, I already had to go through the process. I know what's happening, and I wouldn't have to been like just being so anxious over it. And anyways, either way, it like messed up my reading, because it was kind of a stressful case to have to hear, and to not be like officially a part of it, but you know, you're there. So it was just a hard case. And because of that week I only read like 3 books, 3 to 4 books. It was hard to keep track of how many books I was reading a week, because I was starting like midway through a week at times, and I should have never like done that in the beginning when I started. But it just messed up how I was able to like keep track of what was in each week. So yeah, I gone back to that. And because of that, I was trying this week to get back to 5 books, to try at least get to 4 books, but that wasn't working. I just don't have the mental capabilities of it. And I realized that since I like laid down the foundation of having read like already, I've already read like 9 books. It's like a foundation, so I can read like 2 to 3 books a week and still get to my 100 book mark at the end of the year. And that's what I'm like reaching for. I felt like, I know I don't really, I know we all say like numbers doesn't count, and it doesn't really, but for me, I felt like I needed a challenge, because I was getting to the point where I didn't think I was going to ever read again. And when I picked up um, Every Heart a Doorway, that really got me back into it, and I realized like I just need something that's going to like force me to get back into it. I needed like a motivation, and I was like, I'm gonna read 100 books this year, and hopefully that will actually happen. I'm not gonna be upset if it doesn't, because it's really just like what's driving me to actually read. And as long as I'm enjoying the books I'm reading, for the most part, I am not gonna be upset about the number at the end of the year. I mean, in my depths of my heart, I really do want to reach to 100 books, so that would be quite the feat for me. Considering that I barely read anything for the last 6 months of 2019. So let's just talk about the books that I've gotten from the library, and I will end with the first book that I'm currently reading at the moment. So, Force of Nature. No, not Force of Nature. Force of Nature by Jane Harper. This is the second Aaron Falk book. I read the first one last week, the week before. I really can't keep track of where we are with reading when it comes to time. I should have been keeping track, but I didn't keep track. But anyways, anyway, this one's the second one. I really enjoyed the first one, and you'll hear more about that one in my wrap up. But I wanted to continue on. I got this one. I was kind of hoping that this would kind of have like more to do with him more than the case like the first one did. I mean, I know that's kind of like contradictory considering this is a mystery book, but I liked getting to know Falk and and all that, but it doesn't look like it's going to be exactly like that. So this one, we have 5 colleagues who are forced to go on a, what do you call it, a corporate retreat in the wilderness. So they're there, and then one of the women doesn't come back out of the woods, and Aaron Falk, federal agent Aaron Falk, gets on the case because the woman that has disappeared is the whistleblower in a case that he was involved in, and he thinks that maybe there's a possibility of that being the reason for her disappearance, and he has to try to get answers from these people who all may have motivations for wanting her to disappear. So it's gonna be kind of an interesting read. I really like this cover, if you can tell what it looks like. So this is set in Australia, by the way, and I really liked the first one because it was set in Australia and how she described Australia and the drought, because if you do not know, California has gone through a drought, and it's just interesting to hear somebody describe it. Australia is different than California, but I could kind of relate to like some of the sentiments when it came to the frustration when it comes to the droughts and lack of water and such. So I'm looking forward to another book set in Australia. And then, Noodle, you just licked my book. And then we have Agatha Christie book, Murder on the Orient Express. This is, I don't know what number this is in the, what's his name? Hercule, whatever his name is. Poirot. I watched the movie that came out like about it, like, what was it, 2 years ago? I don't know how old that movie is, but stop. Stop. But I didn't like it, and I don't know if me knowing the answer to this mystery is going to affect my reading of this, but I'm not, it's real short, so basically I don't really care at this point because it's just what it is. And then, okay, come on. My noodle needs mama. And then I have The Girls by Emma Cline. I've heard something about this book before. I feel like people were pretty big on it. So this is set in Northern California in the 60s, and this is, the protagonist is Evie Boyd, who's a teenager, and she sees this group of girls one day, and she wants to get into the group, like she wants to be part of the group, and she becomes obsessed with one of the girls named Suzanne, and as her obsession grows with her, she's coming closer and closer to unthinkable violence and to that moment in a girl's life where everything could go horribly wrong. Sounds very interesting, and it almost feels like there is a cult feel to this group, and very much looking forward to seeing what that's all about. And then onto the ones I just got for the library. We have In the Beauty of the Lilies by John Updike. Have no clue what this is about. I read like the first few sentences, and it seems okay, but I mean, like, look at how it's like the sentences are all kind of packed in with each other. That always makes me a little nervous, but I think I've heard some good things about John Updike, and I'm thinking what he was an author I wanted to read. So there is that. All very vague, I know. And then this one I'm the most excited to get into, and that is Ghostwriters by Sharon McCrum, because it's set around Civil War, set in the Appalachians. So we have present day Civil War reenactors who are gathered in the Appalachian Mountains to stage the lesser known skirmishes. And joining them is part Cherokee mountain man Rattler, and he's able to see spirits, and he's cursed with the knowledge that these players are waking up these spirits, and these spirits who have actually fought and died in the Civil War. So maybe there's going to be like some craziness going on, or whatever, I will see. But we also have we're also being taken back into the 1860s to the actual Civil War, and we're seeing perspectives from Zebulon Vance, who is a self-made man and Confederate governor, and also residents Keith and Melinda Belloc, who became Union guerrillas. And so we're kind of seeing things from both sides. I'm really curious as to how we're going to get all of that in such a short book. I'm just not sure how successful that's going to be. This seems like a really short book. It's just hitting close to 400 pages. Maybe that will be enough, but it was the one that really caught my eye the most out of all the books that I picked up that day. And then the last book that I got from the library yesterday, that I'm not currently reading, and that is Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope, and this is the first book in the Earthsinger Chronicles. So I guess there's more than 3 books then. I thought this was might be a trilogy, considering that this is YA. Pretty sure this is YA. It feels like YA. But anyways, so there is a veil that it's a veil. It's called the Mantle, that separates 2 kingdoms, the Elsira and Lagomar, and it's been separating them for centuries. But now that mantle, that veil, is starting to crack, and that veil is the only thing keeping peace between these 2 kingdoms. And the true father, ruler of Lagomar and the most powerful Earthsinger in the world, finally sees a way into Elsira to seize power. And on the other side, you have this girl named Jasminda, who is shunned from the community because she is an Earthsinger, and because of her skin color, and she doesn't mind not being a part of the town. It seems like she's happy to be away because she doesn't want to deal with the racism and all that. And tell a group of Lagomari soldiers wander into her valley with an Elsirian spy, believing they are still in Lagomar. So through Jack the spy, she finds out that the mantle is weakening, allowing people to slip through without notice. And even more troubling is that Lagomar is mobilizing. And if no one finds a way to restore the mantle, it might be too late for Asira. Their only hope lies in uncovering the secrets of the queen who sleeps, and Jasmina's Earthsong is the key to unravel them. It sounds really good. I am thinking that it's YA. I feel like I've heard about this one quite recently, but I am not sure. Either way, it sounds interesting. And I like that it's a female protagonist, a person of color. When I read the synopsis again, I was like, wait, the protagonist is a person of color. Is the author a person of color? It always makes me a little wary if the author is white and talking about issues when it comes to race, because can they really understand? Can they write it well? Um, it's always that's always something that makes me wary. So I'm really glad that the author is a person of color, because at least I know that they'll have a better understanding of that issue. So, on to what I'm currently reading. The library book that I'm currently reading is Jericho Falls by Stephen L. Carter, and this is an espionage novel. I am 100 pages in, and I'm not enjoying this book. But I have determined not to DNF this one, because I have DNF'd like 4 books so far, and I'm not doing that again. I cannot bear to DNF this book, just because I've been DNFing so many books lately. And it's not like it's badly written. Like, okay, it is badly written in some ways, but like I'm saying, like the writing style is really nice and it's easy to read. But so we have about the protagonist is what's her name? Yeah, says it all right. What is her name? Well, Beck DeVore, or Rebecca. That's her official name, full name, and she has been called to her former lover, Jericho Ainsley's home, who was the former head of CIA, and basically it was like a scandal with them being lovers, because she was 19 years old, a college student, and he was her professor, and he wants her help with something, and craziness is supposedly supposed to ensue after all, finding out what it is. We do know it's all clouded in mystery, and now I get why people are saying, like, it just feels like he's just building up the ominous tension, and then everything's gonna supposedly reveal itself right at the end of the book, which I don't care for. But also I don't like how it feels like it's more telling than showing when it comes to like everything. So everything that is important to the story has happened in the past, and we're getting a lot of memories from her and things like that, and I just like, she's just telling you, and we're not being shown, and I don't like that way of telling. And I also find it frustrating that she seems like she's supposed to be like really smart, like she somehow knows how to be a spy in some ways, like how a spy would, like, who knows how an actual spy works, but like how a spy is always observant about certain things and all this stuff, extra observant about things, and she's extra observant, and I know that part of it is because she was with him for a year, and maybe that's why, but it's been 15 years between that time, and she has not been formally trained in all that, and I just feel like it's unrealistic that she would realize that someone was following her, because like, how would she know? And yeah, at the same time, he tries to make her out like she, like, I'm gonna say dumb, because it's kind of like dumb, because I knew what the answer was to this thing, yet she does not know, and I'm like, if she's so smart to figure out that all these other things, why isn't she smart enough to figure this out when I can figure it out? And it's not like the author himself has told you anything like that. You know as much as she knows. So yeah. And also something that has been like rubbing at the back of my mind in a negative way is the fact that she feels guilty for, like, it feels like the author himself is like conflicted by how he's writing this out, because like sometimes she'll be feeling guilty about the fact that he went into isolation after the thing, and then other times she's like, well, I'm the one that was, lured in by him. Like, I was basically a kid, and he like manipulated me into this relationship. And so it's like there's two minds. Like, she's like of two minds, it's the other of two minds, because reality is that he is the manipulator here. He was her senior. She was just basically a kid that got sucked into his charm. I'm just like, that's disgusting, and it shouldn't have been mixed in that way. Like, I understand her having mixed feelings about her feelings towards him, but not about that aspect. So that is also something that has been bothering me in reading this book. Maybe I should be DNFing this, but again, I really don't want to be DNFing books right now. I've DNFed too many books so far, and all come from the library, thankfully, not from my own TBR. So the book that I am currently reading, that's currently my reread, and I'm almost done with, is Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I only have about four chapters. 4 chapters, sorry. 4 chapters left. And all of those chapters are just everything that has happened after the fact. I almost feel like not reading it because I'm just like, I don't care that much about that part. All the good parts are done. And I don't really need to know all these after the fact stuff. But at the same time, I'm kind of interested because there's some things I don't remember. Especially like, what about, what's his name? Saruman. What happens to him? He was left in the Two Towers. Does Gandalf get rid of him? Like, I'm just like, I just don't remember that part. So I am keeping up with that one. I do enjoy Lord of the Rings. I do think that he could have cut some things down and it would have been better. Yes, it would have been. But other than that, I'm really enjoying that. And then off my own shelves, this beautiful cover. I just love that they did like the hard cover without the sleeve, and also in the back. If I can get to it. Oh, if you can even see it. Can you see it? I go like this. Whoa! See that? I like that. That's so cool. I thought it was real, but it wasn't. So The Library book by Susan Arlen. This is nonfiction about the Los Angeles library fire that happened in 1986. It's only 2 years before I got born. Crazy how that fire. So I've already gotten about 5 chapters. I read 5 chapters. And and right now the fire has already happened. So we've seen like how like the fire was like this perfect environment for the fire. Like the library was a perfect environment for the fire, and it like, it's not like it wasn't like the color of like the fire that you would normally see, the red and orange. It was all like white and blue, and that's just craziness. And so it looks like what she's gonna be, how she's working this out is that we've gotten the fire, we've seen what the fire is, and then she's gonna go into the investigation aspect of the story about who the arsonist was and what was his motivation and everything. And then I'm hoping that she'll go into like, how did this fire affect the community, because the library is such a huge aspect of the community. The government doesn't want to believe that, people who don't believe that, but I see it. I go to the library all the time. The homeless connect to the other world because they're able to go onto the computers, and so they can see things that they wouldn't be able to see. It's a place for them to get warm on a winter's day. It's like, it's more of a, it's very community centered, and so I find that it's very important. And I feel like so far she has like talked a little bit about that, but I'm hoping that she'll go more into like the effect the fire had on the community aspect and all that. So we'll see. Right now it's just beginning. And thankfully, there is an audiobook of this on Scribed. So if you have not picked this up and you have Scribed, listen to it. It's a perfect way to listen to nonfiction. I do definitely prefer listening to nonfiction rather than actually reading it myself because it's just easier for me. But yeah, so I'm listening to that more than anything else. And hopefully I will continue to enjoy this. I really love her voice, and there's a lot of quote-worthy moments throughout so far. So that is all that I have been reading so far. Hopefully what I will be reading. She's so cute, isn't she? She's been very clingy to me these past 2 days. I don't know if it's the weather or anything, but every time we go on a walk, she wants me to pick her up lately. I don't know why that is the case. Especially in the morning time, she wants me to pick her up. So it's just way too cute. Hi, Noodle. Can you say hi? No, you're too cold. I think she's cold. So that is all I have for today. I went a little bit longer than I was expecting to, but those are all the books right there that I have to put back onto my shelves. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing these little updates. Tell me if I should DNF this. Should I? Should I not? I'm on the fence. Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching this little video, and I will check with you in a couple of days, and we'll see if I DNF that book.